The Institute of Social and Cultural Studies is one of the significant institution of the Punjab University,
Indeed, it is.
and we have various departments within the fold of this institute.
All right.
That is preferably the most important and the pioneer one is Department of Sociology. Then we have Population Sciences Department. We have Department of Criminology, Public Health, and Development Studies as well.
That's wonderful.
And we are introducing different degree programs, for example, BS program, bachelor programs in sociology, in criminology, in public health, population sciences, and similarly master degree programs and MPhil, PhD.
All right.
So there is a diversity of students in this institute.
That's wonderful. And what do you teach here, sir?
I basically just look after the Department of Criminology, but in the Institute of Social and Cultural Studies, the faculty is teaching different disciplines. We keep on changing our teaching programs depending upon the expertise and specialty of the faculty member.
All right.
So in this way we contribute in our institute.
That's great. So is it only about the faculty, or is it also about the requirement of the society? Like, this is what the society needs right now. We should teach our students this subject. Is it also about that?
Which subject you are talking about?
Sociology, to be specific, or criminology might be.
Yeah, it's a very important. Even criminology is an emerging subject in our educational institutions.
True.
And before that, we have also introduced criminology in, I think, 2012 or 13. And still there are so many universities in Pakistan where criminology is not taught as a subject. Very limited universities are there. So, but as far as the societal needs are concerned, it's very important. Both for the study of those who are deviant and for those who are conformist, and basically this subject widen the horizon, the mental horizon of our people, and adds their knowledge regarding criminal activity and criminal phenomena of criminality, how it is important. And by knowing this very discipline, we can take so many preventive measures, I would say.
True.
Yeah, and we can even reduce criminality. For example, if we give orientation to parents, and if they become conscious, they would definitely train their children in a different way.
True.
तो इस तरह से कह लें कि ओवरऑल सोसाइटी की जो नीड है उसके हवाले से it is very important.
That's great. So just as you were mentioning that criminology is not a subject that most of the institutions, most of the degrees are teaching, or they do not include it into the course curriculum. What is the reason for that? And secondly, talking about criminology, of course, there are so many people who are not aware of this subject. They are very, very much familiar with the law subject, with the law degrees, but criminology. So how do you differentiate the criminology and the law? And what is the reason that institutes are not accepting this subject, or might be they are not teaching it, which is the actual need which we should be teaching to everybody, because criminals are also the part of this society. So anybody can become that. So it's better to give people awareness, just as you were mentioning, to the parents and all. So what is the reason for this reluctancy, and what is the difference between law and criminology?
I think gradually the academia is focusing on these kind of subjects, and it relates to policy making both at the university level and at the national level. And yes, we are little bit late to start it, but it's good that ultimately we have taken initiatives and we have introduced different degree programs with reference to criminology. As far as the law and criminology is concerned, the difference between law and criminology, in simple words, we can say that law is focused on certain acts. For example, you hit a person, and the court is going to determine which section would it apply to this kind of behavior, the nature of offense, and which section is going to apply on that kind of nature of offense. Whereas the criminology holistically studies, or you can say focuses on the phenomena of criminality. There are different dimensions which lead to human behavior as deviant. You know, people are not born deviant.
True.
There are different factors. There are different societal factors and factors related to individual level, which ultimately force them, or even you can say motivate them to commit certain kind of acts which society determine it as crime. So crime, basically criminal behavior, is the violation of codified law. Whatever is declared as legal, something legal by the policymakers, by the society, by the government. So the breaking of those kind of limitations or law, that is crime. So crime is a little bit different from deviant behavior. For example, to differentiate, we may be deviant as well. There is a general saying that all criminals are deviant, but maybe all deviants are not criminals. This is, for example, maybe we are told that we shouldn't speak lies, we should speak truth. For example, maybe sometimes we don't speak truth. Maybe me and you are sometimes violators of traffic laws, but we were not caught and we were not punished. We were deviant, but there is an element that puts you.
Yeah, so it means the law covers whenever they have caught you. So if they have not caught you, so at that moment we are considered.
Technically speaking, basically it is the behavior. For example, any behavior which violates law, that's a criminal behavior.
Yes, true.
But irrespective of the fact whether you are caught over there or not, that is a kind of crime. But when we talk about deviance, the deviance is sometimes we are not following the norms and values of a society.
True. Yeah. So criminology is the extreme side of the society, and then there is another, the soft side of the society, which is the sociology. How do you see that, and what's your definition, and what exactly we are covering over here in this department?
Yeah, it's basically sociology, is more concerned with human behavior, whatever may be the nature of that behavior. And it definitely individual group relationship, how groups behave, how groups group dynamics are changing, culture and traditions and norms, values. There are so many dimensions to study that kind of behavior, and criminology is one dimension that is focused on deviant behavior.
All right. So, specifically talking about the sociology, we have this separate department, and there are few students, of course. I mean, these students are more like the peanuts that we have So in this department, of course, because there are so many degrees, there are so many other departments as well. Why don't we make an effort and make this sociology subject as a compulsory subject for all the fields, doesn't matter which degree you are doing, even in the metric, even in the O levels, A levels. If you are doing that in Pakistan, you have to bear in this system as well. So why are we a bit reluctant on adopting this system, and why we see these social norms which are going toward the negative side? So we need to work on that. Government needs to work on that. Institutions need to work on that. People like you who have the exposure who need to work on that. So why it doesn't become the real necessary element of the education system?
Yeah, it's a good question, but if you observe, I think in most of the universities and colleges, this aspect is going to be addressed. For example, now even I will share with you the people who are studying basically in mathematics department, who are doing MSc in mathematics or BS in mathematics, they are also studying sociology.
Okay.
Similarly, the people in the corporate sector, even who are doing their engineering degrees or medical degrees, they are also studying sociology.
Okay.
This is because you have to live in a society, you have to live in a group life, and I think that is very necessary that we should be very well aware of the facts that how we are supposed to behave in certain kind of situations. Because while you are living in a society, you are expected to behave in a certain way with reference to the situation in which you are behaving. For example, you are in a school, in a classroom, you are supposed to behave differently. In a circle of friends, you are comparatively informal and you behave differently.
True.
So, as sociologists, we believe that every social situation requires a certain kind of behavior. That is the expectation of society. We call it expected behavior in that particular situation. So, that is necessary for everybody, for even those who are working in the corporate sector, for those who are working with machines even. But they are human beings who are working over there. And we all have our families as well. Because while we are in families, we will know, by studying sociology, we will know what are the social dynamics which influence our nature of relationships. So that is why it is gradually it is spreading, and I would like to share with you that even at the undergrad degree programs, very shortly this very subject is going to be part of the curriculum.
That's wonderful, because it needs to be, sir. It needs to be. For instance, like if I ask you another question, sir, do you think that we as a nation are socially strong?
Yeah, as a nation, as we observe, definitely we have some problems as well. But compared with it, because this strongness varies from society to society, and there are certain factors which influence this level of strongness. As far as strongness in what, I don't know in what perspective you are talking about. If you are talking about in terms of integration, yes, we are integrated society, and there are certain values which we don't like to break because of our societal pressure, and we want to uphold those values. So again, for example, we have a religious ideology, we have our own culture, and these are basically the forces that shape our life, that shape our behavior, and we keep on transforming our generations and transmitting it to our generations, and comparatively that's true. But again, I would say it depends from society to society. The practicing of these values is not always 100%.
Yeah, of course it can't be.
Yeah.
Even in the developed countries.
Yeah.
That's true.
So there is always an element of criminality in each and every society. Its level may be varied from society to society, but as far as the integration is concerned, at different stages, when it comes to our external threats, then we are a very united nation.
So, sir, just as you were mentioning that we are very much involved into the generation involvement, generation formation and all. So, what do you think how this child development is going on? What exactly are the values that we are giving to the next generation, and how can we give the best values which they must admire later on when they become the youth, when they will be in the power, they should appreciate us. So, what are the values that we can transfer to them, and how exactly we are working on the child development?
When we talk about child development, so I remember one of the quotation of William Wordsworth. I think that is probably from his poem entitled as Rainbow or My Heart Leaps Up. So in that poem he quoted a line that a child is a father of man. What does it mean? It means that the environment, that the behavioral shaping, that the way you are taming your children, that will become the part of their personality.
True.
So, child is father of the nation because whatever we are going to inculcate in the personality of an individual, of a child, that's he is going to reflect, that's he is going to exhibit in the later on life. So it is very important. The early childhood, the phase of childhood is one of the very much significant phase of everyone's life, because this is the phase where most of the trajectories develop. This is the phase where our psychological, social and biological development takes place.
True.
So if we come to the sociological development, so that is most important, because that is not only important for the individual concerned, but it is important as the society, for the society as a whole. Because society, that is a larger group of individuals. So the child is very much important for every society, because they are the nurseries, they are the youngsters who have to take over our positions, and so it is very important. And the kind of values we are going to inculcate among the youngsters, definitely they will demonstrate those values in their lives, and this will keep on passing on generation to generation, as we have experienced in our lives. So but irony is that most of the people, they are not they are not aware of the fact that how much important is the process of child development.
Indeed.
Yeah. The irony is that they are the adults who are supposed to take care their youngsters, their children. But in fact, they are the elders, they are the adults as well, who misuse or abuse children. This is because they are vulnerable. The children are vulnerable.
True.
If we, as adult, we have realized our responsibilities, and if we, as a parent, as a society member, as a adult, if we are conscious about the fact that what kind of influence our interaction is going to affect the children, so here lies the point. Then we will definitely produce a good generation, and we will take care of all things. Child abuse, we every day, very frequently we hear different incidents of child abuse and child exploitation. So gradually, as you know, Pakistan is a signatory of the UNCRC, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So being signatory of that particular convention, Pakistan is supposed to follow its guidelines, and that has been incorporated in our legislation. And we have different child-friendly policies. Previously, during Musharraf regime, I think we have witnessed certain forums at district level, provincial level, and national level. National Council for Child Welfare and Development, Provincial Council, then we have district level. But unfortunately that could not be institutionalized, and so government still need to focus on this very important aspect of child development. And I think in this context, we as teachers, as parents, we should know the significance of childhood, the significance and sensitivity of that particular phase of life, so that we can train better generation.
Very good. So, sir, just as you were saying that government should put some of more effort into this field, so the child development thing should get stronger, and we should have the child development in a very better or perfect way. But now, what do you think? What are the elements? From where do we have to take a start? What are the things on which we need to work on right away, which is the right essential that this should be done quite soon, as soon as possible might be?
I think at first we should sensitize our adult segment of population, whether they are parents, whether they are as individual, because unless we train parents, unless we sensitize parents that what kind of your behavior is going to have what kind of influence upon their children, that is very important thing. Because families are the very basic institution of socialization and training and grooming of our youngsters. So we should start it from our families, and for this purpose definitely the training and awareness of parents is very important.
True.
So they can assume, they can train their children in a better way. For example, if the parents are not aware of the fact that their internal disputes, their internal family shouting, or even family disputes, for example, husband and wife in a not in a good relationship, maybe they're even their talking harshly may influence very adversely to the children. Even they are not part of that particular dispute, but even the witnessing of that very dispute is going to negatively influence their personality. So if the parents are very well aware of the fact that such kind of disputes or harsh discussion may negatively or adversely influence the personality of the children, then they will avoid and they will adopt protective measures and you know that's why I'm saying the training or sensitization of the parents is very necessary.
Yeah, indeed it is. All right. So one question that might be, I mean, you are not the right person to ask to, but still, uh, you have given us a solution. That's a wonderful thing. But solution requires the processing. What do you think? What should be the process of the government? How can they train the parents? How is that possible? Because that is so true that we have got trainings about engineering, about mathematics, about so many things, but the parenting thing is still something which is missing in our everywhere, society, education, everywhere it's missing. Nobody wants to learn about parenting. Everybody believes we know it already. So how government can initiate this thing?
See, for example, we have a slogan in our schools, "Maar nahi pyar."
Exactly, we do have that.
It has a very, very much psychological implications. And we are training and we are sensitizing our teacher community that the corporate punishment should be avoided because it has adverse implications for the children. So this is what we are doing in our educational institutions. As far as the training of the parents is concerned, you may train it through media, you may train it through non-governmental organizations. Government may devise a policy to create a sort of awareness campaign may be launched. There are certain countries who has formed certain rules regarding child rights. For example, as a parent, if you are not sending your children to schools, maybe you are answerable to some forum. So at governmental level, I think at first awareness campaign and such steps should be taken, and gradually, of course, legislation is important because parents are the real caretaker of their children, and children have also rights. So if somebody is violating their rights, then definitely he or she should be answerable to some forum. So by taking such measures, I think gradually we can initiate and sensitize our masses regarding protection and rights of children.
Very good. So, sir, at the end, any message for the parents, or might be for the youngsters who are going to become the parent quite soon?
I think for the parents, I would like to say that this is not the era where we can socialize our children with strictness, with stick. This is the era of information, the flow of information. So to equip your children with good qualities, you need to create a sort of friendship with your children, so that unless you are minimizing the what we call it social distancing, as long as you minimize the social distance between your children and you create an atmosphere of friendship, I'm sure the children will tell you everything about their activities.
True.
So that will create a good impact both for the students, for the children, and for the parents as well. And as far as children are concerned, I would like to advise them that they should always seek guidance from their parents, from their family members, and from those who in whom they have a certain kind of trust.
Indeed. Well, sir, thank you so very much for giving us your precious time and sharing your worth listening to thoughts. So it was really an honor to meet you, to have this conversation with you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and take care. Allah Hafiz.